Vineta Tetere, mūsu universitātes lektore, kas tajā pašā laikā arī Vāgeningenas universitātes doktorante. Jā, tātad iespējams šis kompleksais stāsts par kaut ko, kas turpina viens otru, varētu arī novest pie ļoti nopietniem jautājumiem. Lūdzu.
Jā, labdien visiem kolēģiem, sadarbības partneriem, bet es runāšu angliski tā, kā es pārstāvu Vāgeningenas universitāti, jo viss mans pētījums ir veikts 5 gadu laikā Nīderlandē esot. Okay, so how did it started? Bioeconomy was the main topic of my studies, and as Professor Pilvere already mentioned that it is about calculations. How do we show how big is a bioeconomy? So my aim is also to measure the bioeconomy, and from these presentations of today, I understand that actually a lot depends on the way you calculate. So maybe by using the approaches I use in my research, it is possible to increase employment in bioeconomy just by changing the way of calculating it. For 5 years I've been doing my research in bioeconomy, but the focus is on forests. I'm not a forester, I'm an economist. So for me it's all kind of new and interesting to see what foresters do. But I will show more or less the economic importance of the forest. And do I have to press myself? Yep. Okay. One of the things what I found out during this time is that you cannot sum up grass and trees. So as economists, probably we could do it by monetary values, but if you go to the biomass, you have to separate them. Therefore, I excluded all the other sectors from my research, and still they are there. And that's the way I want to determine the economic and environmental performance of the forest-based bioeconomy in Latvia. So I want to understand how do we define, or tell you, how we could define the forest-based bioeconomy, what kind of approaches to use, and also what is the real contribution of the forestry-based bioeconomy to gross value added, to employment, to CO2 emissions. From my research, I came up with a definition that the forest-based bioeconomy is a direct and indirect production needed to enable the final demand of forest-based products. I based my research on statistics, on input-output tables developed by Statistics of Latvia. The first definition I had to define my scope was forest-based products. According to the data, it came up with 3 products from the NACE catalog. So it is forestry and logging, it is wood production, and it is furniture. And only after I did my literature review, it turned out it relates to the definition that is given by the Ministry of Agriculture as well. But you can see also there is another definition of forest-based products, and that appeared later on when I did my cross-country comparison, where I was comparing Baltic countries and Finland, and it turned out that in those countries the paper production, the paper industry is much more important than the furniture production. And let's say the caveat of that is that in Latvia, if you see how much forest inputs are used in paper industry, can you tell? It is 0. So directly from the forests are no inputs to the paper production. Therefore, when I was doing my cross-country comparison, this industry should not be included. But the furniture went out because in other countries it was not that important. Even so, today you saw in the presentation that furniture is not a huge share of our economy, but still it is important. because as I remember, one of my professors said that value added is more important than a tree. I mean, in economics, not for the climate, of course. Yeah. So here we can see the difference if we take statistics from the Statistics Bureau of Latvia, comparing those two combinations of forest-based products. Of course, for Latvia, the best would be the first option where the manufacturing of the furniture is included instead of including paper production, because all the shares are going down for the second option. Yeah, I have made cheater for myself. A lot of information since I'm combining two research approaches. And here you can see those two research approaches. In general, I base my research on input-output tables. But in first, I use a Leontiev IO model or input-output model, and in the other one, I use input-output model by Harthorn. I'm not going to explain those equations. They are very long, and one day when they will be published, you will be able to read all the explanations. But the main difference is that both models are including direct and indirect inputs across industries, while Harthorn also includes the backward linkages to those industries. During the lunch, I was even going through all my papers once more to show that actually we can reach the employment level mentioned by Professor Pilvere. When I see my two approaches, in the first one there is only one approach to see the relation or contribution of forest-based products to the forest-based bioeconomy, or show the size of the bioeconomy in forestry according to the value-added employment and CO2 emissions. In a second approach, I use two scenarios. One is just to measure those three industries, how they contribute to the forest-based bioeconomy, and the second one also includes other industries who use the inputs from the forest-based products, not only forestry and logging, as mostly is done in literature. And here are the results. So it was my surprise when I put both of those figures together that actually the modeling gives more or less the same results. So, and actually that's true, it should be like that. That the data are the same, except that approach used is different. But if you see the first picture on the left, that's the first option of forest-based products where the manufacturing of furniture is included. So if you just use a regular definition of forest-based product and compare it with the forest-based bioeconomy, including other industries using the inputs from the forest-based products, you see that the increase is 1 to 2% approximately. Either it's value-added employment or CO2 emissions. And coming back again to the employment target in our bioeconomy strategy, roughly calculating that the target is about 14–15% of total employment in Latvia. So forest-based bioeconomy already, by using this approach, provides 7% of employment. So the rest of the industries, I think it is possible to reach those 15%. So it is just about the calculations. And when going to the other approach with two other scenarios, so you may see that already just using the forest-based product, including the paper production, still Latvia looks not that bad. I do have the information about other countries, and we are above the level of Estonia and Lithuania, and very close to Finland, except that Finland has a paper production very high quality and amounts. To conclude my presentation, still I have to say that no common approach exists to measure the bioeconomy, forest-based bioeconomy, Results largely depend on the use of IO model and scenarios defined. I have been defining more scenarios that I had to skip still. The model, of course, both of the models are descriptive tools, and economic behavior or policies that could influence the outcomes are not included, but that could be the point for policymakers. Outcomes can differ between years. So my research is based on data from 2015, because there are no latest data available, still expecting at the end of this year, beginning of next year. While, for example, I would call them old EU countries, Finland provides those data every 2 years. But since Latvia is a very small country, first, maybe you notice that I talk about products and industries. So Latvia does not provide statistics on industries, because it could be that the product is provided only by one company, and that's the information that is confidential. Forests and forest-based bioeconomy have many more functions, of course, as we know, than the ones I investigated in my research. The forestry and logging as a A02 NACE code is a relatively small industry. For example, in Latvia, it provides 1.2% of employment, while when we talk in general about forest-based bioeconomy, it goes up to 7%. The processing of forestry products itself is important in terms of value added and employment, but it mainly goes for the paper production and wood production. So actually the primary production, forestry and logging, is very small in any country. Still, we are proud that we have so much forest. Thank you for your attention.
Paldies par prezentāciju.
Jautājums arī var atbildēt latviski.
Mums ir nodrošināts tulkojums, tā ka mēs varam dažādi. Izskanēja frāze par to, ka tā pievienotā vērtība ir labāka nekā baļķis. Un ka klimatam iespējams, ka nē, tas tiešām tā ir, vai tur tomēr ir kaut kāds nianses par šo?
Īstenībā visu šo laiku, kad es veicu savu pētījumu, tas ir mans mērķis pierādīt to, ko es neatceros, kurš teica, ka, lai būtu balansā visi, gan vide, gan sociālais aspekts, gan ekonomiskais, un ka nav, ka tikai, lai klimatu uzlabotu, tad klimata neutralitāti nodrošināt, tas nenozīmē, ka tad ir jābeidz visa ekonomiskā aktivitāte. Tas ir tas, ko es mēģinu arī pierādīt, kad var iegūt visus labumus reizē.
Jā, multifunkcionalitāte. Tā jau nereti notiek, kad mēs mēģinām kaut ko sargāt, neko nedarot, bet nevienmēr tas ir labākais veids. Dažreiz ir tiešām kaut kas ļoti daudz arī jādara. Varbūt tad es iedošu mikrofonu, ja jūs vēlētos uzdot jautājumu, lūdzu.
Ulda Bits, Latvijas finieris. Man ir tāds jautājums, vai ir grūti salikt kopā Baltijas valsts kā vienu veselumu, kā reģionu?
Tas ir jāskatās no kura viedokļa. Datu ziņā?
Datu ziņā, jā.
Datu ziņā mazliet savādākā griezumā viņi bieži vien pasniedz. Tad palīdz Eurostats. Tad tur ir viss apmēram vienādāk.
Jo, principā, Baltijas valsts ir kā tāds noslēgts reģions, kas ir, godīgi sakot, ļoti papildinoši. Tas, kas nav Latvijā, tas ir Lietuvā, kas nav Lietuvā, tas ir Latvijā, un Igaunija tāpatās, mēs varam teikt.
Bet dati ir pieejami.
Paldies par jautājumu, paldies par atbildi. Varbūt vēl kāds? Labi, paldies. Tad turpināsim.